Hi again and welcome back to my channel. I'm Pedro and here is where I share my story with myasthenia gravis, and as you probably noticed from the title, also with my thymus cancer and my thymectomy. It's been over a year since I uploaded my first video and it seems like it's been very helpful to so many people, which makes me very happy because that was the reason for me to make it. I wanted to be some kind of support for those going through the same path as me with myasthenia gravis, and I hope I can continue to be it. I am very aware that I took too long to make this video, but I have the best excuse ever. That is that my life is pretty much back to normal. I've been busy working, traveling lots, hanging out with my friends and family, and living my best life. Anyway, let's start with the story. After being diagnosed with myasthenia gravis in July 2022, the neurologist performed a few tests to see if I was eligible to get my thymus gland removed. One of those tests showed a mass much bigger than expected, and she told me that it was looking like cancer, and it was behaving like cancer because it was started to spread towards the lungs. They never actually call it cancer. I believe the reason for this is that they have to perform a biopsy before, so they wouldn't give a false positive and to be 100% sure about it. Also, now I know that thymoma or thymus cancer is in the gray zone. There are not enough patients with it, therefore there are not enough studies about it. Among several tests, I got a cardiogram, blood work, and pulmonary test. She wanted to make sure the tumor wasn't affecting my heart or my lungs. Very luckily, my heart was working to its full capacity. However, my lungs were only at 70% of their capacity. And we didn't know if it was because of the myasthenia gravis or the tumor itself. The blood work showed some cells indicating some sickness or infection. And regardless of this, my life was pretty normal. I was going to work, I had no pain at all. I was going to the gym daily. I didn't even feel out of breath or anything. Besides taking my pill daily, everything was pretty normal and my symptoms were so low most of the time. The first week of August, I met with the thoracic surgeon. She told me that she took my case to the multidisciplinary panel of doctors to refer among all of them. I mentioned before, it is so rare that they even asked me if I wanted to donate the tumor to them with the purpose of keeping it up to 30 years to study and learn from it. Of course, I happily said yes. They decided that it was better and safer to remove the thymus and the tumor and then perform the biopsy. They also told me there were some knots under my right lung. Now we know that it was the cancer spreading. They explained to me in a very detailed manner the procedure, how the anesthesia works, and for the next 2 weeks I got tests in preparation for my surgery. In the beginning, they said that it was going to be a robotic surgery. They will do some small incisions on my chest and see how spread the cancer was. And then they will decide if it was necessary to start opening the chest a little bit more, and it will end up being practically an open heart surgery. This will mean, well, I will need more time to heal and to fuse the bones to my chest. 2 weeks after meeting with the surgeon, another surgeon calls me to introduce himself and let me know my case was transferred to him, as it was much more complicated than what they expected. He told me the tumor was already attached to the bottom of my right lung and they will likely need to remove part of my lung. It ended up being a quarter of my lung. He told me it's possible to live like that. I just wouldn't be able to perform extreme activities or hike Mount Everest. Another 2 weeks go by and I got a phone call from yet another surgeon. He will also be part of the surgery because my tumor was very, very close to my heart and even possibly attached to it already. If that was the case, they will have to remove the part of the artery and rebuild it, but they wouldn't know until they were able to see it inside. While all of this was happening, I had so many tests done to get me ready for the surgery, and they also got rid of my prednisone because it's known that it makes the healing of the body so much slower. Along, they gave me 3 sessions of plasmapheresis, and this means blood is extracted from my body, spun to sort the bad antibodies causing the myasthenia gravis. Then new antibodies are injected into the blood, and then they put it back into my body. Each session was sitting for 1 hour in the hospital and just wait. During the sessions, I will feel very dizzy, but the nurses will give me some pills to fight the nausea. At the last session, they left a catheter in my forearm, hoping they will be able to use it for the surgery for the anesthesia, so I wouldn't get yet another needle prick. I had my surgery October the 5th, 2022. It lasted for 6.5 hours, and because of the cancer was really spread, they needed to open the chest or my thoracic cage in order to have a fuller and better view of it. I spent the night prior to the surgery in the hospital. I wasn't allowed to eat anything, I think 12 hours before the surgery. A nurse woke me up, and at 4 in the morning, he shaved my chest and my belly, and I took a shower with some antiseptic soap, and they brought me to the waiting room on a gurney. From this moment, I only remember the anesthesiologist talking to me. I mentioned I already had the catheter, and he said, "Oh, no way this is gonna work. For sure we're gonna have to get you a new one." That's it. The next thing is me waking up, quote unquote, because I was still very sedated and intubated. I couldn't even open my eyes, but I remember hearing my mom and my husband's voices asking me to squeeze their hands if I could hear them, which I did very softly. When I was more aware, I don't remember being so dizzy and nauseous, but they told me they suspected because of the anesthesia. When I finally woke up, they explained to me the surgery had been a success and it went very good. The tumor wasn't touching my heart, but it was only touching the sac containing it. They did remove part of my lung, and they extracted a total of 32 little pieces of cancer. They also had to shave my right nerve that controls the diaphragm and also one of my vocal cords, which means I might get a more raspy voice. Beside all that, the surgery had the best outcome possible, and I was safe and stable. I got 3 drains installed into my chest to help the liquids from the healing of the heart and the lung. Therefore, I had to carry everywhere this box, this container that measures the liquids coming out. And by everywhere, I mean the bathroom and the hallways of the hospital. Those were my only options for walking, as I needed to in order to help my blood circulation and the healing. Since the thoracic cage needed lots of healing and rewelding, I was only allowed to sleep on my back for a month. I was only 3 days in, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I was very uncomfortable and painful. It was painful to lay down on the same position every day and night. I even tried to sleep sitting straight up, but I just couldn't, so I could only ask for more painkillers. The nurses always told me there was no reason for me to be in pain, so they will wake me up every 3-4 hours to give me more pills and keep me painless and comfortable as possible. About 6 days after the surgery, the drain to the heart was removed. They took an X-ray and everything looked great. A couple days after, they removed the other 2 drains. They also took the X-rays, and the next thing I see is the doctor rushing into my room and telling me they must put the drain back because my right lung was collapsing. The lungs are contained into these bags full of negative air that allows our lungs to expand and contract. And if for some reason these bags get full of positive air, then it wouldn't allow the lung to inflate. You can inhale, which means you can breathe, and that can be life-threatening. I was so lucky I didn't even feel a thing. I didn't feel any breathless. I only knew because B told me that it was happening, and one of the residents came in and explained to me that they had to put the drain back for this reason. Right there on the bed, he sterilized my chest, and I got some local anesthesia and installed a thinner hose on my right side and left it overnight. The next day, they removed it again, and it happens over again. So they reinstall it on my upper chest. I sleep with it at night, and the next day it gets removed. They explained to me there was still a little bit of air, but my body will get rid of it on its own. And then after 10 long days, I finally get discharged and I can go home. I was discharged around 8 p.m. and I was given prescriptions for painkillers, but I couldn't get them at that time because it was late. So as soon as I got home, I started to realize how dope I was while being in the hospital, because every inch of my body started hurting. My chest, my scar, my back, my head. And for a week, I was mostly taking Tylenol to help fight the pain. They told me I had to wait 2 days before I could take a shower, but hey, of course I wasn't gonna sleep on my bed after 10 days in the hospital and only taking a wet wipe shower. So I took a shower watching the bandages, making sure none of them got wet, and honestly, it felt so good. A month goes by. I start to get my life back. I go to the gym, go to rehab for my lungs. I'll be honest, I couldn't even have a normal conversation without getting out of breath, let alone walking, and I was just getting too tired. About a month after, I started to see some improvement on my breathing and my strength. A month after, I meet with the two oncologists. These are doctors who specialize in cancer. One of them does chemotherapy and the other one radiation. They told me again my type of cancer was so rare, there wasn't even a protocol for them to follow because there were only so little patients. It wasn't even studied enough. This is why I mentioned that the cancer was between a gray zone. They told me the surgeon had removed all the visible cancer and there was no need for me to get chemotherapy, but I will get radiotherapy only as a prevention in case there were some microscopic residues. The chemotherapy is usually injected into the blood, it gets all over the body, and not only attacks the cancer but also the immune system, makes you very weak, and this is when the patient loses their hair and get really nauseous. On the other hand, radiotherapy is pretty much a laser aimed directly to the affected area, in my case the chest, and some of the most noticeable side effects are sunburn like redness, getting sore throat and difficulty swallowing, and also feeling tired in general and body aches. The doctor decided to give me a total of 25 sessions, one per day from Monday to Friday. I had a pre-session where I was explained the daily process, and I got tattooed 3 tiny dots on my chest and my sides. These were used to align the laser on the chest and hit the right same spot every time. The sessions were so whatever. The hardest part was going to the hospital daily. I would lay down on the machine, got a CT scan, and then got the radiation. It wouldn't take longer than 15 minutes, and I didn't feel a thing. It was actually so relaxing that I will fall asleep with the white noise from the machine. I got my last radiation on the last week of January. I had 0 side effects. The only thing is that I felt just a little bit more tired than usual. Almost lazy, but it could have been for not being taking the prednisone. As soon as I finished all the radiations, I flew to Mexico to visit my family and celebrate my birthday, and all went so amazingly. It's known that after the thymectomy, the patients with myasthenia gravis get more chances of getting into remission and being able to dose off all the meds we have to take daily. But these improvements might or might not show up until around 6 months after the surgery. This is not for sure, and sadly in some cases there might not even be any improvements at all. The reason why I'm sharing this is because during my trip to Mexico 4 months after my surgery, I didn't feel any improvement and actually felt more tired towards the end of the day. And once again, it was awkward for me to smile properly. I'm sure my family noticed, but they all knew the process that I was going through, so they never mentioned anything about it. And I was just so happy to be celebrating my birthday surrounded with the people that I love and they love me. and they just spoiled me so much. For sure, that made the process more pleasant. A month after, I was able to take again the prednisone, and during March, I started to feel improvement. I was taking 10 milligrams of prednisone in the morning and 60 milligrams of mestinone up to 3 times a day. Since then, I had several CT scans on the month number 1, 3, 6, and 12, and every time I've been told the scar looks good and I'm cancer free. My next checkup will be on the 2-year mark of the surgery. Very slowly, I went back to work full time. Last year I traveled so much, and during the holidays I stopped going to the gym and I didn't pay attention to my healthy eating. I decided to take advantage of me being in Mexico and allow myself to enjoy all kinds of food. I love the fact that food wasn't affecting my energy levels as before. This scar from the surgery is my personal souvenir and reminder of how strong we can be. My voice gets a little coarser if I look to the left due to the surgery scrapping my vocal cords because the tumor was already attached to it. A doctor already looked into it and said it is as good as it's gonna get. Today, May 2024, my body finally stopped asking me for too many pills, and I'm taking only the minimum dose. Only 1 milligram of prednisone and 1 pill of mestinone a day. Only if I had a long day, my voice gets a little coarser and raspy, and if I smile for too long, my smile gets a little numb too. Hopefully on my next video update, I can tell you all that I'm off the pills and I'm living pills free. This is all I had to share for you about my story with myasthenia gravis, thymoma, and thymectomy. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and thank you all for the comments on my previous videos. I hope this video is very helpful to you and helps you to have some guidance and company along with your path with myasthenia gravis. As ever, sending love and nothing but good vibes your way. Thank you for listening, and see you on my next video. Bye.